Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm Aggie K, Wealth Therapist, and it is my pleasure to have on with me today Deepa Ramachandran, accountant and money consciousness expert. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a complete honor to be here. Complete honor.
It's so fun to hang out with you. I'm surprised you're not cooking though.
I thought about it, and like that would be clanging because I have only steel pots. So that would be a lot of noise and a lot of me being distracted. So
somewhere in there though is going to be a like cooking with Deepa while she shifts your money consciousness, because she's amazing at all these things. Before we dive into money consciousness, tell us a little bit about you, about your background, and how you got into both accounting and the money consciousness piece, how that evolved.
Sure. So I am a CPA from the US of A, and I'm a custom management accountant from India. I come from a long line of accountants, second gen. So that's how I got into accounting, because we heard it all the time. It was dinner table talk. It was breakfast table talk. It was lunch table talk. That's all we heard. And so accounting was a very natural career for me to go into. It was just easy. I had done it. And so going into that, yes.
Question already. If you're watching, if you just hopped on, let us know, say hi, tell us where you're at. What was it like hearing about accounting stuff all the time? Did it make you very, like growing up, did it make you very comfortable with numbers, not comfortable? Did it have nothing to do with numbers? Did it have anything to do with money?
What I did realize, it made me comfortable with numbers all across the board. And my dad was always one who said, 1 + 1 is always equal to 2. It can never be anything else. So you can never get it wrong. And for me, I'm a personality who likes certainty. And so that always resonated with me on some level. And then when you took numbers and put it into accounting and taxes, was more like a puzzle. So I enjoyed that part of it too. So it was very natural for my personality too. I think it was a very natural transition into an accounting career. But the more I got into my accounting career, what I realized was 95%, 98% initially of the people I worked with were men, with the male side of the couple. Every now and then the woman would come along, but there was little participation, or most of the tax returns I did, I would know the name of the woman, but I would never know who she was. Or if I met her on the street, I wouldn't know who she was, even though I'd done the return for years. So that was something that bothered me. And as I tried to go deeper into why, even tell some of my clients, hey, bring your wife next time, at least bring her to sign the paperwork. I'd love to meet her. It would never happen. And so I knew there was a deeper component to this that we were not resonating with, whether it was the money or whether it was putting a dollar sign in front of a number, whatever it was scaring us away. And it was not that we weren't taught in school, because we were never, boys weren't taught in school either. We all went through the same education. So I think it had to do with a lot of generational wounding around money. I mean, if you go back in history, there's very few examples of women earning money. And if they did, they were of the outliers, professions that were not accepted by society, right? So we have such a long wounding against money, and we're probably the second generation in the workforce. So it's not natural to us. And so I believe that we're all here to set up a new paradigm around money and do it our way, not the way men do it. Men do it in a way that works for them. Wonderful. They're naturals in their way. Now we have to figure out what works for us and make that our way of doing it. And so that's where the money consciousness comes in. That's where I really want to talk to hundreds and thousands of women and kind of understand, how can we do it our way?
Oh, I love that so much. If this resonates with you, throw up some hearts and some likes. Dominica is on. If you're hopping on and watching, or you're watching the replay, let us know. Because this is a really interesting conversation, that women can relate to money in a different way than men. And there's a different consciousness for us to be able to feel, or there can be, I'm sure there's some personalities that like it, you know, in a particularly logical way, or in a particularly like unemotional way, and that there's some of us that, you know, it'll appeal to emotionally on a different level. Hey, Grace, good morning. Thanks for joining us. So take us through what money consciousness, your vision for money consciousness, and how we can understand it, because this is fascinating, and you guys are all going to want to like read the book, buy the course when it's ready, and get the pre-order. Excuse me.
Sure. Thanks. So, as an accountant, okay, so I deal with money, numbers, currency all the time. And as a money consciousness expert now that I'm getting comfortable calling myself, I have my own issues with money, as you well know, and I have my own wounding, and I have my own, I'm not going to say trouble, but I have my own relationship with money that's not completely, you know, on the up and up, and it's not completely, you know, solid and, you know, grounded, because money can.
By the way, Deepa is somebody who deals with multi-million dollar accounts and businesses, both on people online, both brick and mortar, like all kinds. So this is such a great awakening for everyone to just recognize that even people, everybody has a relationship with money that is not perfect.
Exactly. It's not perfect. And I don't know that it will ever be, but it will be perfect for me in my own way. And so what I've noticed for me is that I think it's, again, the wounding and the generational. I turn to my husband a lot. When it comes time to make my own big decision about money, and that could be anything from, should we take a loan to buy this, to should I expand the business and invest, anything. I kind of know what the answer is, but I almost want to go, honey, what do you think we should do? And I catch myself doing that all the time. Why do I not trust myself to make this money decision? Heck, I help a lot of business owners make some very big money decisions. So when it comes to my own, what's the deal? Like, what's going on? Why can't I do it? So all women, I want to put that out there first, because I don't want women to feel shame. Okay, that's one of the biggest things that we feel is, oh, I feel stupid around this. That's a big reason why women don't want to have conversations around this. Or I'm not sure I know what questions to ask. That's okay. You can just tell me, I don't know what questions to ask, and I'll start talking. You know, I can tell you where, you know, what the baseline is and what we should be thinking about. Or women feel so they're so hard on themselves because they're supposed to know this. Like, somehow the first time we have a baby, we're supposed to know how to be a great parent. We're not supposed to know anything. The journey is learning. The journey is figuring things out as you go along. So that's a big part of this money consciousness journey, is to just be okay with knowing nothing, okay with the feeling of, I hate to say being stupid, but that's just what it is. I feel stupid around some of my money decisions all the time, and that's okay. That's just sitting with the discomfort and knowing that that's part of the journey, and then just asking right questions. There's a lot of us out there now. You and I are part of this money community where we're educating and saying, it's okay to not know all the answers. We're going to figure out the answers with you. So and
in ways that can be trusted, where you can be in a safe space to ask those questions, where you're not going to be forced to do something that doesn't feel right, where you're going to be, you know, intimidated by conversations, because Deepa can attest to the messes that are behind 7-figure, 6-figure businesses.
Absolutely.
And what you see online versus what she sees on the back end.
And that's so true, because someone who says that they're a 7-figure earner, I know it's not always pretty. It's not always 7 figures. It's very, very different. And just because you have 7 figures in sales doesn't mean you collected it, and doesn't mean you haven't spent all the money and you have nothing left at the end of the day. So the wounding comes out in so many different ways. And there's so many resources now out there available to you that, like you said, there's safe spaces available where we can talk about this. the bigger your money story gets, the bigger your money footprint gets, the more challenges you're going to come across. But then by then you kind of...
What do you mean by money footprint? And guys, if you have questions as we're going along, just pop them in the comments and I will ask.
Sure. So what I mean by money footprint is how far is your money reach spreading? So that could mean, and this is probably a really good time to just bring up the levels and the 7 levels of money, because the I won't call it my proprietary system, but the way I teach money consciousness is based on the 7 levels. It's based on the 7 chakras, and each level of money consciousness, wherever you find yourself at, will mimic a lot of the qualities of that particular chakra. So the higher you go up in the levels, the more your money story gets spread out. So on level 1 is usually where you're very survival based on your money. So you have a job, you're kind of keeping your money close to you. So you have a job, money is very physical, it's hard currency, it's debit cards, credit cards, dollars, cents. You need to have a job that brings in money to pay the bills. And if you stop working, money stops. So money is very related to your physicality. You're showing up somewhere to do something, to get a paycheck, to get the money. It's very hard, tangible. You can touch money, you can feel it. And you're going to know what that means as I go on, because so your footprint at that point is small. You have a job, you have a place to live, may have a car, kind of contained there. And it's just a day-to-day thing. Go to work, get a paycheck. Go to work. It's very day-to-day tangible.
So it would be as if you were living just from your first chakra in your consciousness. So you were really just not thinking about too much besides the day-to-day. And it's kind of like, is not the first chakra just kind of fear-based, right? It's like kind of just in not moving past. We want to stay here because it's the safest, the closest thing I know.
Exactly. It's very survival-based. It's very fear-based. It's very rooted in basic emotions: sad, angry, mad. It's a very basic level of money consciousness. And I think that most of the world is in this level of money consciousness, especially the third world countries, where you have to get a coin to go give that coin to someone to buy food. It's very, very physical. Then we in the first world countries have the benefit of being able to elevate ourselves into level 2, which is creativity. This is where you use your unique skill, your unique strength, and you build something other than your job with it. So you may have a business on the side, you may do some activism around it. You're using your creativity and something that's different than your 9-to-5, and you're earning a little bit of extra money. You don't have to show up for it every day because you can get some residual income. Maybe you have a digital product that sells passively, that type of thing. So now your footprint's expanded a little bit. Now you have your job, you have your house and everything, but now you have a little business on the side. So now it's slightly wider than level 1, right?
Fantastic. So we got level 1 basic, we got level 2. So basic, just go home, go to work, pay your bills type of thing.
Yeah.
We have level 2 where you get to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more freedom. And if you're on, hey, Sarah, people are saying really interesting, great discussion. Alexis Nair is on. If you guys are enjoying this, throw up some likes, some loves, share it. It is a really fascinating conversation. I haven't heard people talk about money consciousness before I met Deepa, and I find it fascinating as well. So please share it as we go along. So what's our next level?
Level 3, it's like, it's the solar plexus, right? So it's transformation. And this is where, when you start a business, right? You know that it's going to bring up all kinds of things that need to be healed, right? And with the clients that you work with, once you start doing some of this personal work, it's going to bring up everything else in your life that needs to be healed. And with money, it's the same thing. So maybe your business started expanding. Maybe you have employees now. Maybe you have assistants you work with now. So this is what I mean by footprint. It's starting to get bigger. You're starting to make more of an impact in the world. And so your money footprint starts expanding past just the basics, past creativity. You're now in transformation. You may have some money to invest. You're looking where to invest it. You may buy a rental property, or you may buy a piece of land that you want to develop. I don't know. Now, every bit of money that comes in is a tool of your transformation, and it's making you a more solid person in this world to go to the next level. So level 3 is messy, it's mucky, it's playing in the dirt. It's the dirt from which the lotus has to grow out of. Okay, so you're going to be mired in that dirt constantly.
Okay, so this also sounds like where you're challenged by your ego in this place.
Oh, yes. Oh,
right?
Yes.
Solar plexus, personal power, and the ego struggle. And I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of the people I know online are probably somewhere around here.
Agnes, they're going to come to work with you when they're in this level.
Right. Okay.
Because you are a healer of the shit. I'm sorry, that's such a horrible. You are a person who can help heal all the stuff in us that comes out to be healed.
Well, thank you.
So they're really entering this level when they come to work with you.
That's interesting, because those are the people I see. So don't you love how she sees that stuff? So cool. Grace is asking, Sarah says, I know that one. Grace is asking, can you have different aspects of the different levels playing out?
That's a great question. I was going to talk about that later on. You're going to see the same theme playing out in different ways in different levels. Okay, so I will address that once I've gotten through all of them on how that can be. Like creativity is there in every level. Level 5 is probably the most creative level. So just to say that I can see level 2's creativity, no, it's going to show up in different ways. But what is the overarching theme around each level? I think that's what we're really going for. So yes, level 5 is going to have a ton of transformation, but the muck, the dirt of that transformation, and where it's going to really pull you and make you question everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, that's level 3. And that's
my favorite, daily questioning.
Daily. And that's where I am right now in my money consciousness journey. And so what I'm going to speak from here forward is more of the theory-based and not so much personal yet, but it's what I'm seeing in other people, because I'm right here. Yes.
So it's not linear. It's not like I'm all stuck in 1 or I'm all stuck in 3. It can be moving around.
You're going to come back and revisit. So there's going to be, if you go up to 5, you're going to come back to 3 and have to go through some kind of deep transformation to get back up there. So I do believe that you stay within a certain level and work your way through that level and then come out on the other end and know that, oh, I'm past that. Now I'm going to the next place.
I love that, because you don't stay in one chakra necessarily either. You're kind of like traveling. I don't know that much about chakras, but I'm thinking that you kind of travel. Like I've studied a little bit, but if you have some insight on that, you travel. Like something's more activated and then something's less activated.
Absolutely. You do. You're going to travel back and forth constantly. I don't know that you'll go back to 1 and 2. I think the traveling is between 3 and 5, because those are really the levels of, where things are going to challenge you. And expansion. That's it. Perfect. That's it. So 3 is muck, 3 is the dirt. And I love 3 and I hate it all at the same time. And it is very ego-based, and it is what it is. So that's that. So then 4 is your heart chakra, and it's basically doing what you love. So 1, 2, and 3 really set you up to be in 4, because in 4, 3 is also the level of boundaries. I don't believe that 2 is boundaries, because at 2, you don't know what boundaries necessarily are yet. 3 is where you know, I don't want a client like that. I don't want a client who won't take personal responsibility for their work. So I'm not a big fan of the client avatar, the 45-year-old woman with 2 kids, dog, white picket. I'm not a fan of that type of avatar. I'm a fan of the avatar that oh, this is a client who take responsibility for her work. This is a client who wants to learn. So these are the type of people I want to work with. That's where you solidify those boundaries. So when you move into level 4, you're only doing what you love. You've dropped the services you don't want to do. You've got intense amounts of clarity on what makes your heart full, what makes your soul full. And so I call that and each level has a name. And I call level 4 the abundance level, because abundance does not just mean plenty of money, it means plenty of everything, plenty of goodness in a relationship. You feel plenty when you see your car, whether it's a $10,000 car, $100,000 car. You look at it and you feel abundant because it's exactly what you want. It's what makes your heart spin. So it's just the level of plenty. You're only doing what you love. And I don't believe that you can just rest there, because I believe level 5 is going to call to you from here. And so
just thinking about heart chakra, it also seems like you would have to work some things out in 3 to feel deserving of all the things in 4 that you get to have, that you just get to have what you want and you get to do what you want, the Do What I Want Club.
I could talk about level 3 for a week.
Yeah.
Because that's where it all happens. And that's such a profound level to be in. I believe that that's the level you're going to stay in the most, just depending on how far you want your journey to go. Like if you want to be a global change agent, heck, you're going to stay there for maybe 2-3 years. If you're looking to make a change in your community, you may not need to stay there for that long, but you will have to stay there and just, deal face to face with everything that comes up. So there's
something so like elevated about just thinking about money on this level. It's because it's not about, necessarily how much money you have. It's how you feel about stuff.
Truly, truly. And when I talked about level 1, I call it the foundation stage. Level 2, I call the creative stage. Level 3, I call the transformation stage. And when I talked about physicality of money at level 1, at level 3, the physicality kind of goes away and money becomes financial statements. It becomes titles to property. It becomes bank statements. It stops being dollars, cents, debit cards, credit cards. The quality of money changes a little bit and it becomes a little bit more paper-based. Numbers on a paper that you're not necessarily touching or feeling, but is there. Right?
A little more theoretical, like something out there being like the stock market.
Yes. Yes.
Stock market's 3, right? It's moving around. We're playing with money in the matrix. Yeah.
And so at 4 too, it's very financial statement based, but you're going to see those numbers really change based on how much you are sitting with what you love and what you really want to do. Those numbers are going to go up. So if you find you're out of alignment with that, your numbers are not going to work out. It's so fully heart-based. It's really hard to explain. It's just an emotion. But your money travels with that abundance. And you may have to go back to 3 to keep revisiting the transformation to come back as your clarity increases. But that's 4. And it seems like a good settling point. But 5 is the throat chakra. It's the alignment stage. And it's where really I say alignment is the focus that abundance seeks. Abundance is wide, varied, encompasses a lot of things. But when you go into level 5, you're really honing down on your message. You have to be a little bit visible because you're going to be making a bigger impact. And at this point, money is a tool. It's almost like a barometer, like a thermometer that goes up and down based on how much you're sitting with your soul work or your soul purpose or what your soul wants. And the more fine-tuned you are to that, the barometer just goes up. And then when you find you're out of alignment, the money barometer goes down. So it's a measurement tool. It's not so much your day-to-day expenses anymore because those are taken care of. You've got your financial situation so well set that I would say people like like Ramit Sethi or Kat Laterzo, they're all so different from each other, but they're so in alignment. You may or may not agree with what they're saying, but they're so in alignment with who they are. Money is just a barometer. I think when I watch Ramit Sethi do some of his live stream, it's almost fun for him to see that money barometer tick up. Not that he needs it to live, but it's just a measurement of how on point he was on that. And so that's what it becomes for you. It becomes a measurement tool.
Oh my gosh, I love this conversation so much. I think it's really freeing to think about money in this consciousness level. And that because you're also going to have times of reinvention, right? You're also going to have times of where you really speed up your evolution, your personal evolution, and then your money's situation is going to change because of that. Sometimes we have to like scrap everything and reinvent ourselves. So it's just so for me, it's relaxing. You guys let us know in the comments what you're thinking about this conversation. If you have any questions, if you're hopping on, if you like it, if you love it, send up some hearts and some likes and share it, because it is a really interesting and different conversation than most people are having about money. And even like, the consciousness around money, no one's really talking about. So this is a Deepa original from her experience. In both bringing these worlds together of accounting and consciousness, and money and consciousness together. And I love that thinking about or aspiring, because you can also, even just moving like one step up is a life changer. That can change your life to just move up one step of consciousness.
Because think about it. If you're at the foundation level, you have a job, and then you decide to, you have a skill with teaching, I don't know, people how to fix cars. I don't know. It could be anything, It could be a school teacher, and you decide you're going to teach people how to fix cars. Now you have a little business on the side that gives you an extra $1,000 a month. Oh my God, that's life changing, because this is something you're so natural at. Money starts coming easier. It's not striving anymore. Then take the shift from 3 to 4. You've done a ton of healing, and now you're only doing what you love. Every morning is just bliss. You're waking up and you're like, this is the life I wanted to live. I mean, it is life-changing, and you'll know when you've gotten to that point that this is life-changing. 2 to 3 is going to be like, oh crap, what am I doing? Why? And that's life-changing too, right? That wanting to throw in the towel on a daily basis is life-changing, but that is a necessary step up into just, heart space.
So I like the idea also of looking at the next level and being like, what are the qualities of that level? If that's somewhere I desire to be or aspire to be, like let's say I desire to be in level 5 alignment, what are some things I can do? What are some qualities that would help bring me there?
True. And each level, I believe, has its own thing, for lack of a better word, but it has its thing. And that's what you need to be aiming for. So I think with level 5, it's just focus. Because level 4 is where clarity comes in large amounts, where you're just doing everything you love. And so love and clarity are 2 real center point focuses of level 4. And then taking that and just honing it in, visibility, aligning that soul, those will be the qualities of level 5. And you'll know when you're there. I'm not saying everyone has to get on a soapbox and talk to thousands of people. Tony Robbins does that, and Tony's in level 7, but when you see him get up on stage and speak, there's not a thing that comes out of his mouth that is out of alignment. And I think it's not
until recently.
Yes. So the recent events are just like, oh God, I can't use any example.
Everyone's in the shitter lately.
But,
and that's good too, right? It's good for, people to kind of have these ebbs and flows and to refigure out, because whatever got you to 5 or 7 the first time is going to be different on the next cycle, and it's changing as people's consciousness elevates. They don't need, gurus anymore. They don't need like the same, they're on the same level. Maybe their consciousness, everybody's consciousness around money is raising. So it's changing things.
That's a great point. Because it is time for him to rethink that and go back and do some transformative work.
So if you're watching this, get Deepa on your team, Tony.
Oh gosh, but maybe a better example would be Barack Obama. I don't know. He's made his own mistakes during his presidency, but that level of focus and mission. It is really about focusing your journey into what your soul is saying you need to say and showing up in whatever way. So
it's sophisticated, right? It's a little bit more sophisticated. I loved what you said, and I think that's the quote of this conversation, which is that alignment is the focus that abundance seeks. Yes. So it's kind of a little more sophisticated approach, which I don't think is intellectual. I don't think that's what you're saying. I think it's more soul-driven.
It's not at all intellectual. And I don't know in this entire journey if you can even intellectualize any of it, because it's very intuitive. It's very focused from your gut, what you and your life, where your soul is taking you, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very intuitive. I never thought about that. It's not a head journey.
It's not an intellectual journey. That's an important piece, guys, because sometimes we like to be action takers. How do I make it happen faster? And the way you make it happen faster is listening deeper.
Yes. Very, very true. Very true. So I will just make brief mentions of 6 and 7 because I think they're important. And level 6 is basically, it's after alignment, right? So what's after alignment? It's influence. So I called it the wealth stage because I thought that was really where your wealth just 1000x's, but no, it's the influence stage. It's where money becomes a point of influence. So this is where people can change the course of the world with their money power. So
can you be there already?
It's like, think about the Koch brothers. Is that how the KOC? They influence the U.S. political elections constantly through their money power. It can be good or bad. So take Harvey Weinstein. The only reason he did what he did was because he had the money backing to do it. So that's influence gone wrong. And then if you take somebody like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they're in level 7, but they're changing the global paradigm on poverty through money. So money is not, again, it's not physical. It's not a way for you to live. It's a point of influence. You have so much power because you have so much money. So you're going to see not too many people go into this level. And it's hard for me to speak to that level because, it's you just have to be there to know. You become such a great space holder for global change, whether it's positive or negative. And in a way, the Harvey Weinstein story broke and it created a positive effect in the sense that women are speaking up now. And it brought about, the consequence was overall a more positive, even though the process was horrible. And so it's a point of influence. Money becomes a point of influence. And then when you go to level 7, you're basically in legacy. So that means that you've just left your money to the world for a positive forward momentum. And my biggest examples here would be like the Michael Dell Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. People are tackling social issues, poverty, global health issues, and leaving the bulk of their money to the world for it to move forward positively. So you're not going to, again, not find too many people moving. And these are the people who are visible about it. There's hundreds of billionaires who give who we don't know about, and we don't know what they're doing. So
I got chills thinking about that level, so that feels really good. What is interesting, though, is that what's interesting about this is that, as we said at the beginning, if you're just hopping on, I'm talking with Deepa Ramachandran, who is both an accountant and a money consciousness expert, and she's taking us through the different levels of money consciousness today. Patricia's saying, great info, thank you. Alignment is this month's mantra. Awesome. But that it's not linear, right? So that someone can get to a level 7 where their money, they have the influence because of the money, but they didn't necessarily go through the heart to get there. They could have gone from the sacral to the influence.
I've seen a lot of people go from 0 to 5, and I've put that on my website under level 5 because I've noticed even in my family, there's people who didn't go through that transformation journey and who just jumped straight into the alignment stage. And I don't address that as much because I don't get it. My journey was through every phase. So it is there. And I'm sure if you take like Paris Hilton, for example, who's in the limelight constantly, she's in 6. I mean, she can influence anything she wants with her money. I wouldn't put her in legacy because I don't think she's old enough to have one yet. But they go from 0 to 6. I don't get it. And so I won't speak too much about
different soul, evolution or something, right? So
different path. So, and more power to them because they're here for something else. Money is not one of their journeys. They have other journeys they need to take. And so, whatever they need to do to meet that need. But I think a lot of us are really rooted here for our money journeys because it's such an important energy in our lives. And when we start thinking about it as an energy, that you're starting to creep up over level 1, starting to move into level 2 because it's not so dollars and cents anymore. It's not so hard-rooted in currency. It's actually got slightly more spiritual quality to it. So.
I love it. This is such a fascinating conversation. Thank you guys for joining us for this. How can people connect with you? How can they work with you? What can they do with you?
Yes, I have my own visibility issues, right?
Working on it. Work in progress.
Work in progress. My website is up. It's at deeparamachandran.com. And I have...
So we'll put that in the comments when we're done.
And I have the description of the 7 levels. And I have a work with me page that's not filled in yet. So what my biggest order is to get that filled in. I have one-on-one sessions. I have 3-session packages. Just kind of, my goal is, while I'm a consciousness expert, I want to have really live talks with women about how they really feel about their own money. Because if we're on this paradigm changing journey where we find out how we do money and then tell women it's okay to do money in this way, I need to talk to more women on just that, not accounting and taxes like I do now at what I call my day job, but more from this viewpoint of how do you really feel about it? What emotion does it bring up in you? And then how can we go about shifting those emotions? And that's a real collaborative conversation.
I love that. I mean, could you think of anyone better to want to manage your actual money or your money consciousness than this woman? I mean, she's amazing. I feel so blessed to have had you on here, sharing your wisdom and your insights that you really went through a lot to get to. And really, it's so incredible to have such a thoughtful person making an impact in the world around money. And that's incredible. And she's based out of Chicago. So if you're like, in that, or in the USA, I think you can work from anyone in the USA, right? With your
anyone. Yeah. And I do work with a couple of clients internationally. Well, on the accounting and tax side, I work with several clients internationally. That it's a global village now, and so you have to know things around the world because they do affect your life. Even if you live in small town USA, global events do impact your life, and so. I'm finding that even just being a small company in the Chicagoland area, that I need to know international taxation. I need to know something about it in order to serve all the clients in the ways that they need to be served. So, yes.
Patricia's in Chicago. She'll pop in the comments and you can tell her where you're at. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. You need to be connected all over. So friend her on Facebook, like her page so you can follow her when she does her live streams. What's amazing about Deepa is also that you get the latest tax news that might be affecting your money consciousness as an entrepreneur or whatever kind of service-based business you are in. That's also the amazing thing about knowing her is she has incredible insights on just what to do with your money also.
The tax side is rapidly changing in the USA. We just had the most amazing new tax reform bill. And I know I wanted to post something about it before tax season, but then tax season happened and then nothing else can happen at that point in time. So I just got out of it. It was an incredible tax season, because I know that I'm going to be talking to every one of my business clients over the summer, because this reform is so groundbreaking. Nothing has happened like this since 1986, when I was like yay high and not interested in taxes. So it's so huge, so foundational, so much good stuff in it. And I know the media has been saying all different kinds of things about it, and depending on which media you listen to, they have their own biases. But from a pure tax accountant's point of view, with a lot of business clients, it's a good thing. It's a really, really good reform. I'm really happy with it.
Awesome. So they're going to find you at deeparamachandran.com. We'll have it posted in the comments, as well as, is it just the one site?
AcumenCPA.com is my accounting and tax site. And most of the stuff is up there too. Most of my services are up there. I'm just trying to bring out some digital products for like starting business owners. What do I need? What do I need to do? Well, there's a new entrepreneur pack, and then there's, S Corp or LLC. Those are the standard questions we get in the USA. And just to answer those questions in a digital format, I'm working on those. And this is my year to get those up.
Awesome. And we're waiting on the book, because this money is genius. Go buy the URL, Deepa, please, as soon as we hang up. Because it's brilliant stuff. Please share far and wide. If you have questions from the replay or later on, just reach out to Deepa or post in the thread so everyone can learn from it. And you can always pop into my group. She's in there as well. Or just friend her and message her. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Deepa.
Thank you for having me. Really, this was a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Bye.